Hello, and welcome to some Donkus show. I'm Kyle Ball, and to my left I have...
David Ford.
And I am Michael Ball.
And tonight we have a series of topics ranging from comic book movies and werewolves, all the way to Beastars and T-Rexes, along with
some other things which we'll get to later.
Indeed. So, as I mentioned, we'll start out with...
Let's start with T-Rex, baby.
Okay, let's start with...
And by that, of course, we mean the...
Dinosaur, not the band.
Oh, no! I had shit all prepared to talk about that motherfucker.
Well, you can talk...
No, I actually don't. I couldn't probably even... I know that I know some T-Rex songs, but... Shit,
I didn't even know there was a band.
Yeah, there was. He was like some 80s, dude.
Oh, yeah, see, I can't say that I've ever heard of T-Rex.
Okay. Yeah, that was a fantastic name for a group. But we are, in fact, talking about the dinosaur. And, so, since this was your idea, let's start
with you. Start us off.
Okay, I decided to do T-Rex because, let's face it, iconic dinosaur. I mean, everyone knows T-Rex. I mean,
everyone does know T-Rex.
Okay, everyone.
Well, everyone who's seen motherfucking Jurassic Park knows T-Rex.
Oh, Jurassic Park 4. That's a thing.
Or Land Before Time, because we have the fearsome shark tooth.
Yes.
I mean,
were they T-Rexes?
Yeah, they were.
That guy's. Well, did he only have two hands? I mean,
Chomper?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, he only has two hands, but they have 2 fingers.
Yes, he only had 2 fingers. It was indeed a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Okay, yeah, because. Of course, that's one. Other than his large size, that's one of the things that kind of separates the Tyrannosaurus Rex from similar carnivorous Cretaceous dinosaurs, was they only had two fingers on each of his tiny little hands.
Wasn't it recently that they decided the T-Rex was actually a scavenger?
It kind of goes back and forth.
That's actually been a debate going on since the 70s.
Well, that debate needs to end. He's a fucking badass.
Unfortunately, since T-Rex has been dead for millions of years, that's something that, short of a time machine or cloning, we're never really going to be able to successfully answer that one.
Nah, they took his missing DNA, mixed it with a frog, they remade him.
But of course,
life finds a way.
Yeah,
life does find a way.
So what this debate is about is if you look at the skull of the Tyrannosaurus, the size of his nasal cavity, proportionally the closest thing there is indeed vultures.
Yeah, is some types of large scavenger birds which rely more on sense of smell to find carcasses than they do upon eyesight. And so the idea is that since Tyrannosaurus has such a large and powerful sense of smell, he had to have been, on the lookout for dead bodies, or at least so that particular theory goes.
Yeah, and the other thing that goes further with it, they've taken the metabolism of varying lizards and reptiles and taken that equation and brought it up to the size of a Tyrannosaurus, and if things worked how they think, it would about 100 pounds of meat, so a person amount could sustain the Tyrannosaurus for I think 6 days.
Yeah, but at this point, I don't think there's really I don't really think that there are very many paleontologists who actually are still buying into the dinosaurs were cold-blooded routine.
That is true.
I think pretty much at this point, just due to the size. Well, first of all, due to the size, are going to be the larger ones are going to almost be, for all intents and purposes, warm blood anyway, just because of the huge amount of mass involved in them. But also, seeing as how they've now established that dinosaurs are probably more closely related to birds than they are to lizards or turtles, at least the types of dinosaurs that Tyrannosaurus is a member of, the so-called bird-hipped or theropod dinosaurs, it's probably very likely that those particular dinosaurs were warm-blooded. I have heard also one of the other reasons behind the T-Rex as scavenger idea is due to how powerful its bite would have been, and how sturdy its teeth were. So they would be more in line with like a breaking bones and attacking things that were already dead. They were kind of more like a blunt instrument almost, rather than like a flesh tearing thing. But I don't know. Like I said, at this point, it's kind of, I mean, it's a purely academic question, purely academic debate, quite frankly, because like I said, T-Rex died out in the Cretaceous period, and that was millions of years ago. So, we're not exactly going to be able to go out and observe T-Rex in his natural habitat.
We just need to wait for John Hammond.
John Hammond and InGen to get their asses moving and make on Isla Sorba.
Yeah, however, on the bright side, because T-Rex has been dead for so long, you can put him in movies, you can put him in whatever you want, and you can kind of get him to do varying things to a degree, and lots of fun.
Yeah, I mean, you do raise a good point. The fact that it is a dead animal does make it so that T-Rex, you can do basically anything with it. It's not like having a lion, where, people know what a lion is. You can't have, like, a lion, like, run 50 miles an hour and then run up buildings or some crazy shit like that. Lions have, like, a very specific
parameters.
Set of behaviors.
Yeah, and so I chose this topic of Tyrannosaurus Rex because I love dinosaurs in general, but, I mean, as Mike brought up the lion, Tyrannosaurus is kind of viewed as king of the dinosaurs. Like, he's the big, powerful, like, meat eater. He's like the king. And
well, I also brought up lions because I think that lions are kind of a good example when talking about Tyrannosaurus, because lions are the apex predator of their habitat, where they are larger and can overpower any other predatory animal in their range. But in addition to being like effective hunters and killers of prey animals, they're also very notorious for stealing prey from other creatures like lions or like hyenas or hunting dogs. And I think Tyrannosaurus, it's probably a pretty good guess to assume that Tyrannosaurus is a similar type of animal, because just looking at, they can extrapolate based on the size of his bones and what have you, that is an exceptionally powerful, large animal, and it probably could have easily been able to overpower quite, a large number of the various hadrosaurs and triceratopsians and what have you in its range. So it's probably closer to a lion in its ecological niche, where it was a powerful carnivore and hunter, but it was not at all timid about stealing prey from other smaller animals.
Yeah, so I did, once again, I mentioned I did bring up Tyrannosaurus, but I'm going to ask both of you, and I'll respond as well, but off the top of your head, what is either your favorite dinosaur or one that you just really, really like and you're a fan of?
I always forget the name of it, but it's got like the dome head. It starts with a P.
Pachycephalosaurus.
Fudge, yeah, that guy was awesome.
Yeah, that guy's really rad.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was super into Triceratops, because, I don't know, I thought like the horns and everything were really cool. Now I'm older, I'm more of a fan of Ankylosaurus, probably, just because I really like the huge armor spiked club tail look.
Right, and for me, not necessarily my favorite, but I've become a fan of in recent years is the Carnotaur, which is like imagine kind of a smaller T-Rex style dinosaur, not like small like human size, but smaller than a Tyrannosaurus. And then it has small, like, horns. Its name literally means, like, meat-eating bull.
Yeah.
That's become a lot more popular in recent years.
Yeah, it was in that weird, dinosaur versus human game.
Yeah.
recently. What was that one called, David?
Oh, Primal Rage. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah,
It needs some balancing, but it's so good.
Yeah.
I really liked when you'd play it and there'd be hackers who would just be running the Tyrannosaurus around like so fast you wouldn't be able to see that
Goddamn.
motherfucker.
yeah. By the way, fun game.
Was
you
it
can
Primal
fi-
Rage? That is that the
Primal
fighting
Fury.
game?
Is it?
There's one that's like fighting game.
Because
Primal
Primal Rage, I think, is the fighting game where it
It's
had
the
the
fight-
apes
Yeah,
who could
something
like
beset each
Primal
other.
Fury.
Primal Fury. But
God.
game on Steam. Think like it's Team Fortress where all it is one team versus the other. And it's just like game mode, but
It's a class-based like game.
yeah. So the humans you have like a trapper, a sniper, a medic. You have like different classes, and the other side has like a Dilophosaurus. It has a Velociraptor, a Tyrannosaurus Rex, a
Pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl, or
It's not called
Pterodon.
It's something.
It's
And-
one of those type of dinosaurs.
Yeah, a flying dinosaur, and then the Carnotaur.
And T-Rex, of course.
Yeah, I mentioned
The
that.
T-Rex is flipping awesome because it's such a powerhouse. One hit kills everything.
Yeah, like when you're playing a human, the screen actually shakes and the Tyrannosaurus starts getting near you, and you can only have one Tyrannosaurus for X amount of humans on the other team, so everyone can't run around as him, but he is...
Well, I mean, it wouldn't do any good anyway because there's places where the humans can just sit and wait. So
Yeah,
it's
but nonetheless, awesome game.
Yeah, and
And the T-Rex is rad.
yeah, T-Rex is rad. T-Rex is also like exceptionally cool in the Jurassic Park movies.
Yes.
You know, those movies are old, but like the special effects, especially in the first two, hold up super well.
they do.
Just because.
Are you guys gonna go see Jurassic Park 3D or whatever? Not that I really am excited about the 3D part, just to see it in theaters.
Yeah,
again.
I mean, it would be kind of cool to go see that movie in theaters.
Yeah,
Did you say there's a Jurassic Park 4 coming out?
there is.
Yeah.
They
They
just...
just started.
Yeah, they
Okay.
announced it just a couple days ago.
No, that's fine. I'm all about the dinosaur movies.
Yeah.
As long as they're not made by motherfucking Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh yeah. By the way, also probably good. There's no returning character or cast from the old Jurassic Park movies.
Yeah.
This is kind of a
That
separate
is
thing.
a good idea. Yeah.
So here's something that I don't know if you guys knew, but because we're talking about dinosaurs. Do you guys remember Land Before Time?
Of course, we just watched it actually.
So the little girl who played Ducky, died a couple months after that movie because her
Oh.
dad killed her in her sleep and then
Oh,
killed himself.
Damn it.
Oh,
Like, isn't that terrible?
Yeah.
That's really.
I'm
awful.
smiling and laughing because I'm nervous about that kind of thing. Like, it's terrible.
Yeah, no,
That's
that ain't no good.
that is a tragedy.
Like, it kind of ruined my day. So I hope it
Yeah.
ruined yours. God.
God damn it.
So-
That movie's also really short.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's only like 70 minutes.
yeah, it's
In fact, I don't even think it's that. It's under 70 minutes.
yeah, it's like 64 or something. It's
Weird.
barely over an hour. So that's kind of our
Oh, one last thing.
Oh.
So, this is kind of this needs to be addressed just because it's ever since Jurassic Park 3, you kind of have to mention Spinosaurus aegypticus just
Oh, yes.
because that's like that's kind of like the new huge dinosaur where it's like some estimates put it at larger than Tyrannosaurus, so and in Jurassic Park 3 it totally punked like Tyrannosaurus like hard. It was, oh man, it was just like Tyrannosaurus just showed up to put Spinosaurus over.
Yeah, and that's insane because we're talking about how Tyrannosaurus is supposed to have this powerful jaw and powerful teeth that
And he had
crush
like huge
bones.
neck muscles, and he's just like really heavily built.
Yeah, and he actually bites onto the Spinosaurus neck, which is thin. It's a thin neck, relatively speaking, and Spinosaurus shakes it off and then proceeds to bite T-Rex's neck and snap.
Yeah, dude, he does like the action movie like neck snap. It was like he totally got punked. But the Spinosaurus is so it's another, I think it's a Cretaceous dinosaur. It, as its name would have you believe, it lived in northern Africa, especially around Egypt is where they found most of the fossil remains. It's, for those of you who haven't seen Jurassic Park 3, it's kind of its big its big defining feature is that it has a large sail on its back, possibly. It has a big ridge of bones, which, kind of leads people to think that that's a sail. But one of the other things about it is that they haven't been able to find a complete skeleton of it. So, like I said, it's a matter of estimating how large the dinosaur is. But whatever it is, it doesn't appear to be. It may be a bigger dinosaur, but it's not as heavily built as Tyrannosaurus. It's a much more its closest relative is actually another dinosaur called Baryonyx, which is primarily found in the UK region, and that is a dinosaur that they assume would have primarily been a fishing type meat eater. Just based on its skull, which is long and narrow and has kind of more conical, pointed teeth rather than shearing teeth. It also had large claws on its hands for gripping things. So, it may be that
Sorry for the bells. There's a cat running around. Dewey. God.
Yeah. So whatever. Like I said, Spinosaurus. It's another potentially big dinosaur. A lot of... I have seen at least one special on the Discovery Channel about how it's the awesomest, most badass giant dinosaur around, but I don't know. Just for my money, I'd put my... I'm still sticking with Tyrannosaurus being coolest.
The king of the beasts.
Yeah, being the king of the beasts.
So that's our T-Rex, and I will let you guys choose the next one from our list.
So next on the list, do you want me to go in order?
Well, I jumped to the very middle, so...
So, not sure who did Beast Wars, but...
That was me again.
Beast Wars is flipping awesome, so...
Well, let's talk about what Beast Wars is to begin with.
Okay.
It is really fucking old now.
Once again, because this is Kyle, we'll let him go.
Okay, so Beast Wars is a very early on computer animated show. I believe it's the mid-90s, I believe around 1995, and
when he says early on, he means it's an early example of the show made entirely using CG, not that it's early in the grand march of humanity's trek towards the future.
Yeah, so unfortunately the effects and the looks really do not hold up. This is, this is 1994, 1995 when it started. But it's supposed to be, it's based off the old show Transformers, and indeed they actually see some of the old Transformers, but the idea was instead of turning into vehicles, a whole bunch of robots crash land on prehistoric Earth, at the dawn of man, and they actually have their robot bodies. There's natural materials that their bodies can't sustain, so they have to use, they base an alternate form on animals that are on the planet to shield themselves.
Yeah, so basically instead of turning into cars and planes and trucks and what have you, they turn into, animals.
Yeah, and so some of them are based off fossils, so there are some dinosaurs.
Yeah, and a strange way to bring us back to fucking T-Rex. Megatron in this show turned into a Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah, so the big villain, his thing was a Tyrannosaurus, and then eventually he got to a point where he turned into a dragon, which I guess is their
It's logical. It's logical.
Yeah.
Except all the other ones were based on actual animals.
Well,
I don't know, maybe they just found dragon skeletons around and they've all been broken.
No, because I guess
they were put there by God to test the faithful.
Oh, but see, here's the thing. Optimus Primal, who's not Optimus Prime, he's a descendant. He turned into a gorilla, and then he...
Oh, they go back in time.
Yeah,
and not only that, they really, missed the mark with that one, because they could have easily called him Optimus Primate. Which,
Yeah, or even as a joke, because they, make fun of some of the characters' names, but never Optimus Prime.
That seems like such an easy one to do. Especially since they were really stretching it with some of the names.
Yeah.
Where some of the names were just hey man, my name is Pterosaur, and I turn into a pterosaur.
Yeah, or I turn into a velociraptor. Call me Dinobot.
Oh yeah, you're right. That is the all-time like just laziest.
Maybe I should have called him Stephen Bloom.
So anyways,
Was that Stephen Bloom?
It was Stephen Bloom.
God damn it.
I'd like to
I
point
didn't know
this
he was
out, though.
operating that early.
So Optimus Primal is a gorilla, and he mixes his spark, his heart, with Optimus.
His Sparker is spunk.
We've
He
got the makings of an awesome Slash fanfiction here.
he mixes with Optimus Prime, who is a truck, and in turn, he can actually, at the end of the series, turn into a mixture of an ape and vehicles.
Yeah, except he doesn't. There's no truck in there. He turns into a jet.
He can also turn into a weird, ape truck. But whereas Megatron is a Tyrannosaurus, and he mixes with Megatron, who turned into a gun. So when you take a giant, reptile who can shoot, I guess that was their thought process of turning him into a dragon.
So Tyrannosaurus plus gun equals dragon.
Yes.
Okay.
But anyways,
So why do you want to talk about this show?
just because
It's Beast Wars, and it's fucking awesome.
it came out while I was in middle school.
Well, to put another spell on that, why is it fucking awesome, David?
Because, okay.
Okay, it came out...
Okay, go.
Okay, I was just gonna say, for me, it came out in middle school, and like I said, it was one of the first computer-generated shows, so as far as it went, the effects, once again, have not held through the test of time as far as looking good, but it was so amazing to see a show that was not animated and was not live action, and also as a kid seeing it, you got all these awesome animals, there's cheetahs, and there's a rhino, there's giant spiders and scorpions and dinosaurs and what have you, and you got to see them interact and talk, but they could also transform into cool-looking robots that had guns and...
Yeah, okay, I suppose I could say it. So it's basically Beast Wars is to Kyle what He-Man is to me.
Yes, it's just... It had this mixture of...
He-Man is fucking awful, by the way. I mean, I love it, but that shit is shit.
Yeah, so for me, it's... You gotta see animals, robots, big fights, and what was pretty crazy for me, at that age, was... characters died in it. Not often, but by the end of it, only 6 of the 17 characters survive.
Oh.
So it was pretty big for me. What?
Did you ever watch Beast Wars?
No, I watched Beast Wars.
So David, why do you like Beast Wars?
I like Beast Wars. I don't know. It's probably my first real connection to Transformers. I didn't really watch Transformers as a kid, except for Beast Wars.
I hate to say this because, it's part of my childhood and stuff, but, in a lot of ways you're really not missing a bunch.
Yeah.
So, I saw Beast Wars, and it was one of those shows that I watched before school every day, so I went to school jazzed about, how Dinobot was such a badass, or really cool back in those days. I didn't know such
How
words.
did Dinobot miss shooting guys when he shot laser beams out of his eyes?
Yes.
Oh, because he doesn't look properly.
You'd think he, more than anyone else, would never miss a shot.
You see, they never went into the, Transformers do require, medical help sometimes. They need glasses or contact lenses.
Yeah, maybe he was just real derp, I guess.
So to explain this,
Just super cross-eyed.
Most of the characters in this had guns that either were attached to their body or they held. Dinobot used a sword and this weird spinning shield thing, and
Which
then
never worked, by the way.
Yeah,
he never really used it in any way. It was just he used it. He used it once as a helicopter.
Yeah, that's the episode where he died, where he had to do the coolest stuff. But his long range attack, he shot I-beams that went in a straight line wherever he was looking. He had terrible accuracy.
Well, everyone had terrible accuracy.
He would miss people at point blank range, though. It was and hit the wall behind the guy.
Here we go. Came out in 1996 and lasted through 1999.
Okay, so it had 3 years worth of stuff. It was one of those shows that the first, from what I remember of it, I mainly watched the 1996, that show when it was first on. And when that happened, it was kind of just a story of the week deal where it'd be this time we have another problem that we had to solve, and it'll be completely unconnected to everything else. But as the show went on, it was one of those shows that kind of, the longer it went on, the much stronger the through story went, until eventually it was like the later episodes in like season 3 made no goddamn sense unless you'd seen the stuff that went before it.
You know, I have to say though, that was one of the first shows where
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm saying it's a good thing.
No, it was one of the first shows where I saw like things on an epic scale. Like they had this whole like mini saga where Cheetor or whatever, not Cheetor, the tiger guy, the white tiger guy, what was his name?
Tigertron.
Another one of those amazing original names.
He found like this floating island with this obelisk on it that shot like this crazy laser, but it was like this crazy cool idea that there was a floating island. That was like my first introduction to that kind of mystical sort of thing.
Yeah,
really...
it only shot if you were using weapons. If you were peaceful, it did not attack.
And like it kind of blew my mind, and like that's maybe why I like games like Halo or that new movie Oblivion. And there's like scenes where there's just giant structures in the background.
Scale, yeah.
Like that shit, I love it. Like I like big pictures with things off in the distance.
Is Oblivion the Tom Cruise vehicle?
It is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks really cool though.
No, it does look pretty
By the way, for you saying that season 1 is more episodic, part of the reason there is the first season is like 39 episodes, whereas the other 2 seasons combined is 26. So, like, it had mini stories, and it was a lot more just like you said, just random episodes of the week, and they had this story, they'd have like mini sets of stories where it'd be like 2 or 3 episodes of important and followed by multiple episodes of just fun. And then towards the end of it, they decided to step up their game and introduce a few aspects, and then they were constantly trying to further that in the second 2 seasons while still trying to introduce and do more stuff. So it had to be much more through story driven.
Okay.
No, I liked it. I mean,
no, it was
the show's okay actually.
And like it just highlights how good Steven Bloom is because he does the thing all the time in that show.
Yeah, he makes snarls and growls and tries to sound like a dinosaur.
Yeah, and he had this like weird thing where he would like start out really like soft and move up with his voice, where it was like.
Yeah, it was an interesting thing, and also like I mentioned, just look at. I mean, even looking at the stuff in the first season, like, for example, one of the things that they could not do with computer graphics yet, really, was make legs move, but, have it look like it's still attached to the body, so legs just looked like they were separate pieces of computer graphic, pasted on. And then the next season they tried to make things look more like robotic, and everything just has this weird, awkward shine to it.
Well, I have to say, once the majority of the cast turned into like full-on robots and were made out of metal, it actually worked better than in the first season, where they were like, because the processing power on their computers was at the point where they could not render like textures at all. So, like, all the animals looked like they were made out of weird plastic.
It's true.
Yeah. There was no such thing as fur.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
So, yeah, I love that show. I actually you can buy the whole series in a box set for,
it's like $30.
Yeah, it's like $30. And it's fun. And oh my gosh, the intro! It consists of the words "Beast Wars" with the occasional roar.
Nice.
If you know the title of the series, well, guess what? You just learned the opening intro words.
Yeah, so I recommend it. It's a fun thing to watch.
Yeah, I mean, and okay, something else that's weird is that in Japan they made like a Beast Wars television show, but it was all like animated. It was traditionally animated, and it has nothing to do with the American Beast Wars.
Weird.
So it's like I'm not sure if they've actually come out with it in English or not. I mean, in the States or not, because I know that several of those weird old like Japanese Transformers shows they have actually come out with finally in Japan, just because, I mean, in English, just because I guess there's like, they feel like there's some market for it. But
yeah, it's called You, Mike.
I don't buy that. Like I said, like, I'm all about like the 1985 Transformers movie, but for some reason and I remember loving Transformers when I was a kid, but I go back and watch it, and for whatever reason, the Transformers show just, it doesn't do it for me.
Oh, by the way, I will mention this, speaking of other things. There is a sequel series called Beast Machines.
Everyone looked super weird in that.
That's one of those shows I wanted to watch, but I just hear terrible things.
I watched it, and it was just, like I said, only like 6 or 7 guys survive, and it's just they have those characters are the stars, but only like 2 of them. 3 of them are evil. One is missing, and another is just absent.
Oh, and like they all lose their minds or something.
Yeah. The 3 of them that are evil, literally, like, I mean, you can't tell who any of the characters are, excluding the 2 main ones. Like,
well, you can probably tell who Black and Arachne is. Isn't she still a spider?
she was one of the main
Cheetor
ones.
is like there.
But like Rhinox is one of the villains in that, and
doesn't he turn into like a tank or some shit like that, or like a jet?
he is like this insane, like, giant, like, bulldozer semi-tank. And like Waspinator, who is a flying like joke in Beast Wars.
Wait, I thought he got left behind on Earth at the end of Beast Wars.
He
he's like
he did get left behind.
He's like stuck on the windshield, doesn't he?
No, that's Megatron. He gets left behind.
Because it showed all those monkey dudes like playing drums, and his head was one of the drums.
No, because he's the ruler of the monkeys.
Yeah, basically what it hints towards is Waspinator taught humans everything.
Oh my god.
He's the reason humans like learned or mastered things like fire and whatnot.
Fuck.
He stayed behind.
All Earth religions are descended from Waspinator.
He taught like primitive apes how to continued to teach them and like bring humanity forth.
Wow, that's insanity.
Because he was their ruler. But eventually he goes back to Cybertron where Beast Machines is. And
wait, how did he get back? Because I thought that was the other thing.
Yeah,
that they spent they were trapped on Earth.
Yeah, it explains it in the show. But the other thing, he's a flying guy in Beast Wars, and he turns into like a motorcycle or something.
Wow.
And then the flying guy that is a villain is a guy who couldn't fly in Beast Wars. Like, it's very tricky.
Yeah, Beast Machines,
not that great.
Not that great.
I wanted to like it because I loved Beast Wars, but I mean, it didn't. I think it lasted most of one season before it got canceled.
No, I think it actually did get to the end of its like story arc.
Okay, I honestly
because
don't
it had
remember.
some weird thing where like you found out that like Cybertron, contrary to every other thing ever told about Cybertron in comic books, movies, like TV shows, toys, what have you, contrary to all that, according to Beast Machines, like Cybertron used to be like a jungle planet, and like everything used to be all like alive and like organic, and they were doing this weird thing where they wanted to turn on some machine to like fuck up Cybertron and turn it back into a jungle.
Oh. Well, anyways, that's Beast Wars, and to an extent, Beast Machines.
Very nice.
Alright,
David had some questions he wanted to ask us.
Okay, well, how about this? What is your guys' favorite video game Easter egg?
Okay,
And while Mike and Kyle think for a second, I'm just going to go over what a video game Easter egg is, in case people don't know. A video game Easter egg is just a little bit of a joke that is put into a game by the developers. So, what's a very obvious one you guys could think of?
The secret cow level in Diablo 2.
Yeah, that's a pretty good Easter egg.
So, basically, in the game Diablo 2, there was a shop... In the first Diablo, there's a shopkeeper who just screwed you over with his prices, and he was called Wirt. Wirt. W-I-R-T.
Yeah, he was like this little kid with a peg leg who hung outside town.
And anyways, there's, like, he gouged you with, like, prices, and in the second game, you go to the destroyed town of Tristram, where he's from, and you can find his corpse, and you can actually get his leg. And if you combine it with a few other things, you open up a secret portal where, like, it has no it's not part of the main story, but it literally opens up a giant zone for you to fight in, and everything there are cows wielding halberds that just say moo constantly. If you hit them, they do a high-pitched moo, and when they're walking around, they say moo. And then there's the Cow King.
Who, of course, the boss of said cows.
Yeah.
Is that also your favorite in addition to...
No, I'm trying to think what my favorite is. It's just the very first example I thought of, and a decently well-known one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of mine. I don't know. I mean, I kind of like, in Halo 2, the skulls. They were kind of an Easter egg. There was also tons of things like, there's in Halo 2, one of the skulls has a bunch of dancing grunts around it.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool. This topic kind of went nowhere.
Well, I'll just list a couple that I always thought were funny. In one of the Ratchet and Clank games, I don't know why they put it in, but there's this point where you have to do a race, and there's, I think, what's supposed to be a sexy female alien. And if you hold a button, you can like strafe and like do backflips to dodge. Every time you backflip near her, her boobs got bigger. And it did it indefinitely till the point that the boobs were bigger than the character, and they'd start going through the ground. And
What game was it?
Ratchet and Clank.
That is insanity.
So I think that one's just really amusing.
I don't know. See, I guess we have different thoughts on like Easter eggs, because for me, I always thought whenever I think of Easter eggs, I always think of like callbacks almost.
Oh yeah.
Where it'll be like, you know, you'll be playing a game and it'll reference another game, but not in any.
Oh my god, Borderlands
But not in any way that like.
Yeah.
You know, so like the Minecraft, the hidden Minecraft place in Borderlands.
Yeah, or the fact that in Ninja Gaiden, your name's Ryu and your father's name is Ken. It's just a throwback to Ken and Ryu from Street Fighter.
Although I think Ninja Gaiden predates Street Fighter.
No, you're right.
Yeah, because like Street Fighter didn't come out really till like till Super Nintendo times, till like the 16-bit times.
That's
like,
true.
And Ryu and Ken Hayabusa were like from.
But
Nintendo.
I think they didn't name Ken Hayabusa until Street Fighter came out.
No, because in the first game, you in the first game you get after it has that like intro where like your father went to his duel to the death. It like shows he leaves you that note, and I think he signs it like Ken Hayabusa.
Okay.
Right after he says Ryu, be always brave.
Yeah. Well, for all I know, Street Fighter could have named after that. But...
I don't know. So, you know, I'm like trying to think about it, and like I really am. This is like one of those questions that like an hour from now I'll like totally think of like 20 of them that like I really like. But I think one of the things I thought was cool was in Phantasy Star 4 where you're on. Okay, so the Phantasy Star series is a series of Japanese role-playing games primarily for the Sega Genesis. Well, in fact, the original one is for the Master System, and then like numbers 2 through 3 were for the Sega Genesis. And the fourth one, you go into this cave on like an ice planet, and you see this giant weird cat. And the giant weird cat, is like one of the characters from the very first game. He's not identified as such, but he gives you an item that is named after one of the characters in the first game. And then like some of the other dudes who are hanging around the giant cat like mention obliquely that some of the adventures the giant cat had been in, and it's enough to like let you know that this giant cat was like one of the 4 heroes from the first Phantasy Star game.
Right.
I think one of my favorite ones was in Gears of War 3. There's like a series of tubes you shoot in or whatever, and then you go up to this last one, you throw a grenade in it or something, can't exactly remember, and this giant chicken comes out that has like a rocket launcher and instantly kills you if you decide to fight it. It's so funny. Like, it's literally a giant chicken, like bigger than your character sized.
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty awesome. One more that's just like in Shadow of the Colossus. If you actually got to the top of the tower, I wouldn't say this is so much as an Easter egg, but if you ate the fruit up there, it would like get rid of your entire climb bar that took you like so long to get.
Yeah, like
How the hell did you get back down then?
You die.
No, you can get down. The deal is, like, in theory, every time you can continually start the game over, and each time you beat a Colossus, you get more powerful, you get more health and more grip bar, and you can kill...
And what grip bar does in terms of Shadow of the Colossus, if none of y'all have played that game, in addition to the standard health bar that your character had, the Colossuses were usually giant and furry, and to get to the parts of their bodies where you had to hurt them, you had to climb around on their bodies, and your ability to hold on to the monster while it shook around and tried to throw you off was your grip bar.
Yeah, so...
Which decreased, as it decreased while you were holding on to it.
Yeah, so your starting point, like the center of the map, is a tower. It is hundreds of feet tall. Like, technically, if you're gonna climb it without using kind of a trick, which I learned, where if you jump diagonally, it doesn't use up any of your, like, you can, like, kind of pull yourself up or jump sideways, and it uses up a fair amount of your grip, but you can move far faster. If you jump diagonally, it uses up none, so you zigzag your way up, but normally you'd have to beat the game probably 5 times around there to get enough grip to climb it. And when you get to the top, there's like the fruit of the gods, and each time you eat it, it removes some of your grip and some of your health until you're back to square one. And the only way down is you, like, basically fall down some of the ledge, grip onto some stuff, and then, like, fall again, and you just keep doing that, and, like, you just grip for a brief moment so you don't fall too fast, and you can control where you're falling. But that's a pretty good one. And as I'm just going to mention one other Easter egg as far as a throwback, kind of referencing another game. The game is Valkyria Chronicles, and it's this interesting, third-person shooter, like turn-based RPG.
Like combat strategy game.
Yeah, combat strategy game. Lots of fun. I love the art style and the gameplay. But you get a squadron of guys, and a couple of them have the names and faces of 2 of the main characters from the series Skies of Arcadia for, like, the Dreamcast and Nintendo GameCube. And, like, in Skies of Arcadia, you're pirates that fly around on a floating pirate ship, whereas this game is, like, a fictionalized, like, World War II kind of scenario. But there's a couple characters, if you played Skies of Arcadia or are familiar with it, there are indeed 2 characters that, like, are in it, and they're just soldiers. They don't use, like, a boomerang and swords. They just use guns like everyone else. But
yeah, that is a cool one, actually. Yeah, whenever I think of an Easter egg, that's what I always think of, but I don't know. I don't really play too many games anymore, so I can only think of, like, old ones, and the old ones I think of are always, like, weird old role-playing games, because that was, like, I spent my, like, youth just playing, like, Japanese role-playing games.
I mean, for a newer example, Borderlands 2, like David said,
there were so many in that game.
It's covered. I mean, you fight 4 guys that are blue, purple, red, and orange, and
that live in a sewer and eat pizza.
Yeah, that live in a sewer and eat pizza, and their names are, like, Mick and, like, Ralph and
Mikey. Isn't one of them Mikey?
It's Mickey.
Mickey.
And, like,
that one's really fun.
And
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, and you can, if at the end you can fiddle with, like, a couch and a TV, and like their boss comes out and his name's like Splicer or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ninja Turtles are. Yeah, no, I completely forgot. That's funny.
WoW does it all the time.
Oh yeah,
my God,
WoW
WoW
has like
has
a ton of
some.
those. Like the
Once again,
like-
you can find the Ninja Turtles.
you can find the Ninja Turtles.
You can
and
find Bambi.
You can find
He-Man's
Link.
He-Man's in there. Like one of the arena masters is a dude wearing a pink shirt with a green tiger.
Yeah. So yeah, World of Warcraft and Borderlands, that's like one of their things. They like, beyond being the games that they are, there are callbacks and references to so many things, just for whatever reason. And in fact, that like Borderlands has a thing where you can find this ring that is not hot, but it's sitting inside a furnace, and if you walk all the way through this, you don't use vehicles, you don't use fast, like, teleporting pads, you walk all the way, you can go, walk all the way to a volcano, and this weird little creepy guy will come up and punch you and steal the ring and be super happy, and he'll fall off a cliff and burn in the lava.
Serious?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
So it has,
Lord of the Rings.
yeah, there's references everywhere.
Road of the Rings.
I said Lord of the Rings.
I said Road of the Rings.
But yeah, so, I mean, they took a little to get off the ground, but we discussed varying degrees
Yeah,
of
we
what an
got
Easter
that
egg
going
is,
eventually.
and we mentioned some good, solid things, I think.
Alright.
All right. Well, so I'd like to turn the conversation to. I think already I've had y'all talk about Dracula and vampires, and now we're gonna take it to the other end, and now we're gonna talk about some werewolves. So, I really like werewolves, and like one of my favorite movies is American Werewolf in London, and and The Howling is also super good, and let me just ask you, when you think of a werewolf, what do you think of?
Okay, see, that's kind of the thing. I love werewolves, so when the ones I tend to like more are more of how, like, the Wolfman style, where it's like a human mixed with a wolf.
Okay.
However, I do recognize that werewolves were more along the lines originally as men that turned into giant, like, wolves.
Yeah, like,
Um,
so like, you're saying that, yeah, so basically more like the, just like a giant wolf rather than like a dude who's part man, part wolf.
yeah, I think I'm more a fan of the Wolfman / like, the more well-known one when people think of werewolves.
Yeah.
I like the werewolves in, like, Underworld.
Yeah.
And God forbid somebody stab me. The werewolves in Twilight.
Okay, I'm
I
gonna
think
come
they're
right out
awesome.
here and say that and agree with you. I thought the werewolves in Twilight were fucking awesome. Well, that's to say,
In the
they
movie, at
looked
least.
cool just because they were like enormous wolves. Like,
Yeah, like, that was cool.
you
Yeah.
know, they were cool. Like, I like giant things, and those were giant wolves. So I'm like,
Yeah.
what's not to like? Although I did think that the whole muddled, weird, like, they're actually a tribe of Native Americans who can turn into wolves because of like an ancient curse or some weird bullshit like that was like just completely
I don't
stupid.
see that as a curse, though.
Well, yeah, I don't think it was even a curse. It was some weird thing, but it was just like the fact that they were like Native Americans who had the wolf spirit in them. I'm just like, oh my god, this is so goddamn
At least
stupid.
they didn't have the bitch spirit in them.
I'm gonna say this. I really like the werewolves in American Werewolf in London and American Werewolf in Paris, where instead of being like mostly man with wolf aspects, it was mostly wolf with like kind of human aspects.
Yeah, where they kind of had like, well, especially in American Werewolf in London, it was just like a full-on big wolf. In American Werewolf in Paris, those things were fucking like gross. Where they were almost more like gorillas.
Yeah.
Where they kind of had like this weird smashed dog face, and then they had like, yeah, those things were like creepy as hell.
Yeah, but I kind of like that idea that it's like mostly a wolf, but it still retains certain human things and like can, in theory, go on its hind legs, and it's not just straight up a wolf. It looks off, and I like those.
Yeah. a werewolf movie that I really like is Dog Soldiers.
I love that movie.
I've never seen it. I want to.
Oh, we should see that movie sometime because it's really good. Although one thing to keep in mind is that it's like British, and some of those guys have the thickest accents. You can barely understand what some of those guys are talking about.
It's like heavy Cockney or whatever.
No, they're like heavy, like Scottish accents.
Yeah.
Like, so some of those guys you can barely understand them, but like that movie's really good. If any of you haven't seen that, I like highly recommend it. It's like it's one of those movies that not very many people have heard of because it was pretty low budget, and I don't think it really even got like a theatrical release. But basically, what it's about like a British like army squad who are on train exercises in like Scotland, and they get attacked by werewolves. And then they have to and then in trying to escape from the werewolves, they basically get into a house and barricade themselves inside the house. But it turns out, oh my god, the house belongs to the werewolves. So like they're, it's basically about them trying to combat werewolves that are trying to break into the house and kill them.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah, it's especially. I mean,
the werewolves do look kind of really cheesy because it is like a low budget thing, but like it's it's pretty tense and like it's good.
And sadly, I love werewolves, but they don't receive the love that vampires do in the respect that vampire movies are basically a dime a dozen. Well,
vampire movies are fucking cheap to make because all you need to do is just have like pale makeup and fangs.
Yeah, that's true.
Like with a werewolf to make like a werewolf movie, you have to have like pretty good costuming. Otherwise, it's gonna look like really bad.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't like vampires versus werewolves that much. I think like it's kind of cool in the underworld, but like it seems like that is such a common trope.
Yeah, it kind of is. Where it's almost like for some reason, like vampires and werewolves are now like dogs and cats, where they're like mortal enemies to one another. And I don't really get where that came from.
Yeah, I don't either.
Especially since like really, if we're talking mythologically or folklorically, a lot of the time the two of them were like intricately linked. Where if you happen to be a werewolf in life, when you died, your corpse would raise up as a vampire.
Right.
And vampires a lot of time could turn into wolves. So it's like the line between the two of them is kind of traditionally like really blurred.
By the way,
but now they're like always presented as two completely distinct things, and for some reason they hate each other.
Yeah. Real quick, is my chewing really loud? Can you hear it?
It's probably going to be very loud, yes. So I would stop.
As you put another one in your
mouth. So stop.
Speaking of that, like, werewolves versus vampires, regardless of what a person thinks about the movie Van Helsing,
the Wolfman, that was fucking awesome.
The Wolfman, and that was awesome, and
doesn't he, like, rip his skin off?
Yeah, like, the way, werewolves, like, your skin starts, like, peeling off, and the wolf is under it. So, like, he's, like, starts, like, getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, so you, like, rip your own skin off and you have wolf skin underneath it?
I wonder if it hurts.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, it looks pretty pain. Like, the characters look like they're in pain.
But yeah, you were saying?
The final fight between Dracula, who goes, like, full-on, like, creepy-ass, like...
Batman
with, like, where he's straight up a vampire monster versus, like, the werewolf is a pretty phenomenal fight.
Yeah, like... Van Helsing is as aggressively stupid as that movie was. Like, it had some pretty cool monsters and some really fun action pieces.
So,
and huge
ass man.
Huge act man. Like, I don't know. I think he's a pretty charming guy, and I enjoy seeing him in things.
Did you guys see Les Miserables?
I did.
Did you like it?
I did.
Me too. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. Well, okay. I like musicals in the first place, and okay, I'll come right out and say, like, it was good up until they do the fast forward and like where like the little girl's now an adult and it's all about like like the revolution and shit like that. I thought that part was boring as fuck because like I don't care. By that point in time, you spent so much time investing in Jean Valjean and, like, whatever Russell Crowe's character was, that, like, I'm like, where the hell are these guys? Who are these new people? I don't care about them.
Real quick, I want to go on a tangent, just speaking of musicals. I'm not a big fan of musicals. I think they're really interesting. Just for whatever reason, hearing a story through song actually just puts me to sleep.
Well, then you'd really hate Les Miserables because like
awesome.
that is
No,
95% at least.
There's
No,
a
like
couple
singing.
like
Yeah,
spoken-
There are a couple parts.
I
that are
recognize that. Like, but what I was gonna say, just thinking of musicals and huge Ackman,
huge act man,
Huge ass man.
huge Jackman.
we do like Hugh Jackman.
Oh, I love Hugh Jackman.
But that he did a great job singing. Phantom of the Opera with Gerard Butler. He is surprisingly good at singing. I just wanted to mention
I've
that.
never seen that.
It's impressive.
It's pretty good. A lot of the people who sing it aren't that good, but Gerard Butler's not one of them. Like, Gerard Butler's phenomenal.
Which is
the Phantom.
kind of surprising.
That makes me want to see 300 the musical.
Well, it's really weird also because the first time I'd seen Gerard Butler was in 300, and so I'm always used to him being this roided out dude with like short hair and a huge mustache. Well, and like he was in all these movies as like a really attractive like romantic
a pretty
lead.
boy, yeah.
And so it's like seeing him and I'm like, what the fuck? That's Gerard Butler.
Yeah, he's not screaming about we're dining in hell and this is Sparta.
Like, the only part where he sounded like Gerard Butler to me was at the end where the Phantom was super pissed and he was singing like in an angry voice. And then he sounds like Gerard Butler.
But yes, tangent, but I just had to mention, like, yeah, Gerard Butler, I think of 300, like, as him as King Leonidas, but he has a phenomenal singing voice. And he's not classically trained, he just practiced some before the movie.
Yeah, back to Les Miserables real quick. If you like the stage thing, I think you'll like the music in this. If you don't, you're not gonna like it, and if you're not a big fan of musicals, I doubt you'll like it also.
I think a lot of people might be skeptical, but because I went in very like, I don't want to do this, like, especially because I don't like sitting through movies I'm not really interested in. But seeing it, I was just like, this is really fun and interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean, I agree with you. I didn't really like that Colette when she grew up.
Yeah.
And like, dude,
was it Colette or Cosette?
Cosette.
It was Cosette.
Who's Colette? Oh, fuck that noise. Anyway, so that's
Cosette and Marius, yeah.
Anyway, Anne Hathaway is like, one of the leads in that. She's only there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
And then
Anne Hathaway's always mentioned as being like a major part of the movie, but she only has like, she's barely in it, but it's like one of those weird things.
Bruno and Bellatrix Lestrange are the best part. I cannot remember their names. Sacha Baron Cohen
and Helena Bonham Carter.
So this is all werewolf talk.
This is totally werewolf talk.
Dude, they're totally werewolves.
Even Russell Crowe, who is definitely the worst singer in the whole fucking thing,
fair.
Well, just because Russell Crowe, I haven't heard his like proper like musical stuff. It's just, I don't think as a singer, like Broadway type musicals are like are the thing that he should be doing, because like he really, he was really trying. You could get that, like, especially in the song number right before his character dies, like you were really getting
spoilers.
Dude, spoilers for like a fucking 40-year-old play and like a 200-year-old novel.
Oh, wow. Never mind.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
But
Romeo doesn't live.
Spoilers, Romeo and Juliet both die.
Dude, the way, okay, I'm not gonna say how he dies in the movie, but it's painful.
Yeah, like I said though, like that final song that he sings, it's really getting across just how like upset he was. So even if he's not a very good actor, a very good singer necessarily in the movie, he's like emoting like the fuck during that song. So
yeah, it's he does a good job. He does a good job.
But anyway, back to
around the world.
Back to werewolves.
Back to werewolves. Another movie that, so like I said, I would recommend Dog Soldiers. I would recommend American Werewolf in London and maybe Paris. I mean, Paris is like a fun movie, but it's also kind of like a really schlocky movie. I would recommend The Howling, which is like really good. And the other werewolf movie I recommend is we're laughing because the cat is pawing against the door really loudly. But the other movie I recommend is Brotherhood of the Wolf, which is just like an
no, God, that movie's so boring.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Boring.
Nah. Well, okay, I have heard some. It's slow in some parts, but once it gets going, it really gets going.
It needs more Michael Bay.
Shut up! It does not need Michael Bay. The movie's rad. It's just like some crazy, like, set during right before the French Revolution in France, and it has like crazy, it has a monster and all sorts of like crazy slow-mo fighting and pretty cool costumes. It's a really interesting movie.
Isn't the first part of the movie actually based on like
the
real events that is supposed to be where the werewolf originated?
Well, it's based the first like half 2/3 of it is based on the actual like events around the Gévaudan region of France, where there was like the beast of Gévaudan, which was a werewolf type monster that killed tons and tons of like children and women during its crazy murderous rampage before they finally killed it.
Kind of off topic, but I just saw Hotel Transylvania.
Oh, how was that?
It was actually really fun.
With Adam Sandler?
Yeah, but Steve Buscemi is the werewolf in that. It's really funny.
Oh? Yeah, I kind of wanted to see that movie also.
Yeah, it's pretty cute. I liked it anyway.
Nice. Yeah, I was kind of curious to know
Yeah.
what that movie was like. And I like Steve Buscemi's a weird-looking dude, and him as a werewolf is pretty amusing to think about.
Yeah. Oh, one last thing about werewolves and vampires before we move on to something else. Oh, and by the way, I'm gonna totally come out here and say that I usually prefer like the Wolfman style werewolves too. Although, like if the wolf in question is a giant wolf like Twilight, then I'll like it. But normally, if it's just turning into like a regular sized wolf, I'm kind of not there. But Wolfman, like once again, Van Helsing had like an amazing Wolfman. That to me is like
what wolf
that to me is like what a werewolf should be. But whenever I think of werewolves and vampires, I always come back to this one episode of The Real Ghostbusters, the cartoon show from the 80s that, was a spin-off of the movie Ghostbusters. And in it, the Ghostbusters go to a town that has been plagued by vampires. And when they go there, they actually find out that the vampires have been trying to take control of this town, and they've locked all the townspeople down in the basement of their houses. And then the Ghostbusters let all the townspeople out, and then the vampires show up, and they're like, "Fuck, why'd you let the townspeople go?" And then like the townspeople are like, "Oh, we've been down in the dark so long, we haven't been able to see the moon." And all the townspeople turn into werewolves. So it's just like this huge vampire brawl where it's vampires versus werewolves.
Oh, nice.
And all the vampires in it, by the way, dress like Count Dracula, so it's just hilarious. But in it, it was like amazing because like the Ghostbusters are totally flipping their shit, like freaking out, because there's like 50 goddamn vampires and like 100 werewolves in the town, and they're like, okay, we need to run away. Especially since like Egon is all like, we need to get away before something bad happens. So like, what could be worse than this? And Egon's like, well, when a werewolf bites a human, it becomes a werewolf. And when a vampire bites a human, it becomes a vampire. What happens when a vampire bites a werewolf? So you're saying that all the vampires are like are growing fur and all the werewolves are growing bat wings? it was just like this completely nuts like vampire throwdown.
That's pretty good. Actually, that's a good idea. Much better than that crappy hybrid thing in Underworld.
Oh man, you mean Nightcrawler?
Or Raziel from Legacy of Kain.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are currently pausing because the cat is being insensitive. Just leave him. Just leave him.
Alright.
Next subject.
You had another question you wanted to ask?
Okay, yeah, here. If you got, I kind of know this answer, but if you guys could have one superpower, what would it be?
Ooh.
And I think this is a good question to pose because we're all kind of nerdy and geeky. And let's say it can't be too overpowered. You can't be God.
I want to be Jesus.
Damn it.
I want to raise the dead and multiply bread and fish. Heal lepers.
I kind of
Wine everywhere.
Turn water to wine.
That'd be really
now.
funny. If I had that kind of power, I'd just go up to like the ocean and be like, everybody's drinking wine now, bitches.
You'd kill
Just
the fish.
fucking everyone.
All the fish are dead.
Everyone over in the world.
I depending on my mood and everything, I kind of fluctuate between two things.
That cat is going crazy.
One of my two is the ability to make multiples of myself, and like I'm not out there to fight crime and all that, but my way of thinking is I could, invest and read books that I want. I can experience games and movies that I want to. I can have jobs, and then a lot of games I think are fun. Like there's that game League of Legends. But I don't necessarily like playing against other people, and playing against the computer is too easy. And so I would honestly have like 10 computers, and I would make 10 of myself and just play against myself. I'd always be on my own skill level.
He'd also be wanking himself all the time.
Well, not only that, but you could just go on these insane crime sprees, and it would be like, you could make a whole gang of like 20 of yourself and then go knock off a bank. And then like when people say, oh, but you robbed the bank, I'd be like, no, I didn't. I was here the whole time.
Yeah, I have an alibi. So that's one of my...
I was quite literally in Paris.
That's one of my two. The other one is...
Sorry, did you say that was one of your tude?
My attitude.
Your tude?
One of the two that I kind of fluctuate between the most, the other being a form of teleportation. And I don't know, I don't like driving. I don't like the maintenance and upkeep on cars. I don't like... It'd just be so nice, like, if I want to see someone, I can live where I want, they can live where they want, I can visit whenever. If I were to go to a place and I have to be there at 10 p.m., at 9:59, I can go, okay, I'm ready, and go. I don't have, time would just be so much more convenient. And honestly, I'd probably make that my profession. I would just offer either last minute, you need to go somewhere, I'll charge you and teleport you there. I could do a taxi service thing, and I'd do it for a little bit of the day.
Dude, you would do that as your profession. Why wouldn't you just make Looper and go steal stuff?
Because
Well, he's not going backwards in time.
well, no, he's Jumper, not Looper.
Oh, you're right, Jumper.
It's
So
one
that
of those
seems
things.
more legit.
Yeah. No, I'm like, no, Looper, you can't really make money off that, can you?
It's just one of those things. I don't know. I've been raised, and I feel like that whole thing of Batman and the whole Red Hood thing, where once I started stealing, even if it was one time, I would always be that temptation. As soon as I gave in, I feel like it would just be this slippery slope where I get worse and worse. And just really fuck up my life, where I'd be on the, I don't want to be
Are
on
you
the...
teleporting into heroin needles or something?
No, but if I start stealing, it's one of those things, unless I was exceptionally careful, if I got caught in any way, I then had to be on the run.
No, you wouldn't. You just teleport away.
But I'd teleport away, and I might, the worse it got, it just... I feel it'd be a slippery slope for me, and I would rather make bank off of something like that instead of robbing a bank. So that's me. I kind of fluctuate between those powers. Both of them. I mean, one, I could always play games with myself, but totally sounds like I'm wanking myself.
You are wanking yourself. You're going to wank yourself. That's just an inevitability.
We're gonna come home and find you in a crazy naked huddle with 20 of yourself.
Oh, that's awkward. So that has that aspect. I'd always have someone, if there's a game I'm really into, I can make multiples of myself, and I guarantee you that other version of me is going to be into the game as well. I'd always have someone to share an interest with me at the same level as me.
People don't want to deal with that many Kyles.
I do. And then the thing with teleporting, I feel there's so many conveniences. I could just teleport people around or teleport myself around. Like, and I'd have to really flesh out like the limits on it and everything. But that's kind of where I stand. So I've said my 2 cents. I'll hand it to you guys.
I want force powers. I think force powers are the shit. You can do anything you want. You can force heal, force lightning. You can manipulate people's minds. I don't know. It just seems like the most fun to me.
Okay.
And I think it'd be really useful, too.
Well, it would, just because the Force can do basically anything.
That's the whole point.
So, God powers?
No. No, because I can't snap my fingers and be like, soda, right now, blah.
Slave who I mind control, soda, now.
No, because what if he's got a strong mind? If he's not weak-willed,
then he's not going to be your person.
Well, all you do is just surround yourself with weak-willed people. Like Purple Man style.
Who's Purple Man?
Purple Man's this fucking dumb, like, Marvel villain where he can mind control everyone within a certain proximity of himself. So he just walks around with a huge crowd of people. So he's like, hey, you guys, make out while I sit here, and then you feed me.
And like, people that have the Force still die to, normal stuff all the time. Like robots.
Guns to the back.
No normal things, like
normal
robots.
Stuff.
That was pretty good.
No, I meant like, they die to, other things that aren't, like, overpowered.
I'm just giving you flack.
Yeah, well, you wonder.
No.
Anyway, no, I think the Force would be really sweet because, like, I could literally do whatever I wanted.
Yeah. For
the most part. I mean, if I started making a ruckus, I think, the government might butt rape me or something, but...
Yeah, and it's one of those things. You may be all powerful and be able to stop things, but as soon as you go to sleep...
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but don't you think you'd have some kind of Force, like, awareness? Like, I'm gonna go to sleep now. Might as well, like, reach out with the Force to make sure I'm okay.
Force awareness, a nuke on your head.
Well, I guess I'm kind of fucked in at that point.
Anyways.
They'll send you to space for your first powers do nothing.
Well, yeah, I mean, but then, like, I could
Except there's so much stuff that, like, that contradicts, like, the Force not working in space.
Yeah, well, don't even get me started on that one.
That's because Star Wars, like, the canon is so fucking dumb.
But, like, I would, maybe not change the world for better but I might try. Like, I could be like, you're gonna now try and do this policy. Nah, I don't know.
I'm gonna go topple world governments because I have a unique point of view that makes me totally able to, like, tell people what's good and what's wrong.
It's not because I have a unique point of view. I'm just too stupid to realize the consequences. Because I'd be like, big corporation called Apple, you're giving all your money to Uganda now. And then Apple goes bankrupt and we all die.
And
then all the warlords that rule Uganda take all that money and give it to no one and buy more guns.
They just make Apple products.
If you destroy Apple, we'll never get the iPhone 6.
Actually, I have to.
3 ounces lighter.
I actually have to preface that by saying I have no idea what the government of Uganda is, so they might not be one of the African countries ruled by warlords, and if they are not, then I apologize because warlords fucking suck, and the less countries that are ruled by warlords, the better. And I'd actually prefer if Uganda was not ruled by warlords, if in fact they are.
I will say this. The term warlord is pretty cool sounding.
It is, but then in reality, warlords are horrible.
Yes. I'm not going to debate that at all.
Warlords have, like, armies that go around and chop people's arms off. That's not a nice thing.
No, it's not, but it's still a cool title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
if I become the freely elected leader of a country, I want to change the name of the office to Warlord.
Okay.
I'm Michael Ball, Warlord of the United States.
One of the things I've always hoped for was I saw that episode of Family Guy where Peter inherits Peteria or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like his plot of land is not owned by the United States.
Yeah.
Like, I would love that. I would totally invite, like, world leaders over.
Yeah, but would you invite the horrible ones like he did? Like fucking
Saddam Hussein
and, like, Gaddafi?
I don't know. I mean, Maybe they're cool guys.
You don't want to play favorites?
They're horrible people. It doesn't matter how they are as like individual guys. They could be the nicest dudes ever, but they still run like totalitarian, horrible governments.
Would I be allowed in the UN? Like, could I be my own ambassador?
I don't know. Does Monaco get like a seat in the UN? I don't think they do.
Yeah, I don't think they do. I don't know.
Well, I would.
Because Monaco certainly has more people than Pretoria does.
Fordonians are.
Fordonia.
Fordonia is a subsidiary of
Oh,
America.
So it's a subsidiary. Fordonia is a subsidiary of Apple Corporation.
Anyways, to get off.
No. We're gonna start making new Apple products with actual apples.
And you can't sue us over copyright. U.S. copyright has international copyright has no place in Fordonia.
You know what happened though? Somehow there'd end up being a Starbucks in my backyard.
No, what's gonna happen is fucking Pirate Bay is gonna move their servers into Fordonia. And it'll be like, aha, you
Free
cannot
hosting.
Yeah, free hosting. You cannot police your copyright laws here. We do not recognize any of them. This is a lawless state.
Fair enough.
Anyways, so Dan wants the force powers, and he wants to run Fordonia. How
And he
about
wants to become a warlord, apparently.
No, I didn't want to be a warlord.
Oh no, that was me.
Maybe I would change it to, instead of chief of state, to chef of state.
Chef of state.
Okay, Mike, what is your superpower of choice?
Not being gay.
You know what? I don't happen to be gay, and if I was, I still wouldn't want a superpower to like change that, because that just seems like a waste. First of all, and second of all, like there ain't nothing wrong with being gay, but so God, I feel like such a biter because Kyle picked like both teleportation and multiple people, which were the things I do.
Wait, you picked two?
No, I said I kind of fluctuate between the two.
Because like seriously, whenever I think of like superpowers, I always think of what is a way that I could make my life even easier than it is.
You could be
It's like Triplicate Girl of like the Legion of Superheroes. I'm completely obsessed with her because it's like, what's her power? To make 3 of herself. That's the worst superpower for a superhero team, but that'd be the most useful power for like a private individual.
Dude, Multiple Man's got her beat.
Well, Multiple Man does, but Multiple Man has no limit, whereas like Triplicate Girl, she can only make 2 of herself, which is a bit more realistic. If we're gonna put realism on completely like breaking the laws of like conservation of mass and energy by like just spontaneously creating duplicates of yourself out of thin air.
Well, if you were to go to the point of teleportation and multiples, like
both of them, I'm just gonna have like a whole army of teleporting like duplicates of myself.
That'd be terrifying. Like you would wage wars. Like
I just win every war that I'm fucking in. It's like suicide bomber, suicide bomber, suicide bomber.
And then you get all the knowledge of them too, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah,
Or did
except
they
I'd be
have to merge
suicide bombing them, so I'm not gonna get any of that.
Oh, so they have to
that'd be
merge back.
terrifying. You just sit in a room and just create multiples that would teleport and blow up.
Yeah, as a general rule, Multiple Man had to reabsorb his multiples to get the knowledge that they'd accrue.
Naruto's more broken then, because Naruto just has to wait for the thing to die. And then he gets all the knowledge back.
All that Multiple Man gets when one of his duplicates dies, he gets like the knowledge that it died.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he actually gets screwed. When they die, he's like, oh my god, one of my duplicates died.
I'll tell you what, Mike, if we ever get to the point where there's that grand decision, which power do you get, we'll flip a coin. You can have one.
So instead, I'm gonna go and like steal the power of like a really, really like jank DC character named Geist, who could both turn invisible and intangible.
Oh.
So you could be like a full-on ghost.
So you could Shadow Cat it up.
Well, except
and
Shadow Cat.
Invisible Woman it up.
Yeah, exactly. I can
the
do
same
both
time?
at the same time.
That'd be pretty
Yeah,
cool.
but then you would be stealing banks left and right.
You're right. You're damn right. If I could do that, I'd be robbing banks left and right.
Could they still see your like heat signature?
I don't know. It wouldn't matter if they could. Like to visible light, they wouldn't fucking see me.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
No, like
You'd be a horrible peeping Tom.
You know what? I still would like.
Actually, no. The thing that, and once again, like the thing that actually I'm coming to is either that or like some kind of crazy telekinesis, which once again is then be ripping off David. I'm just like the most unoriginal dude right now.
Are you drawing a penis on your leg? Yes, you are.
Sometimes I like to draw things. No, I would also like to say my second option,
Right, if
Okay.
you...
shape-shifting.
Oh,
yeah.
I love shape-shifting. I would like it more than Mystique, because I think she's kind of pussified. Like it makes sense, though, that she has to keep the same mass and junk. But I would like it if I could, I don't know,
like
Peter
scroll
Griffin
it up.
Peter Griffin it?
There's an episode where he gets a superpower and he can shapeshift and he turns into a Tyrannosaurus Rex to go back to our T-Rex thing.
Well, I mean,
He
if
also
there
turns
was,
into a giant pair of boobs.
Yeah.
if there was, a certain mass I could be, I would, prefer, the largest I could get would be, a semi-truck,
Okay.
and then go all the way down to, an atom.
Okay.
Actually, that's pretty
That-
damn tiny.
Yeah,
Like,
it's super tiny.
Like a tick or a
Yeah,
tiny-
like a tick or something, that'd be pretty sick. I mean, having, a vast...
Yeah,
range.
but
Right,
not
right.
nothing too incredible. I mean, I
Yeah.
could
so like
still-
a scroll.
Yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah.
couldn't grow to the size
Wait,
of
really?
the sun.
Yeah, scrolls can shape change and size change.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
really get size change.
Yeah.
Yep. So you don't want to be able to grow to the size of a sun and as tiny as an atom.
Yeah, that'd be sick though if I could.
I don't know. All of my choices of superpowers just go back to me robbing banks.
If there's any bank anomalies where money's
Yeah,
just
if-
mysteriously missing, they're gonna come after you.
I know they're just gonna listen and say, "Hey, this guy was really tight about using superpowers to rob banks."
Yeah.
Okay, there's
I'm basically an aspiring supervillain.
there's one other thing that I think
I'll
would
be
be
your
kind of
cohort.
fun is to be able to
I'm just gonna live in a crack house though, because no one expects villains. People always expect villains to live in a super nice place. I'm gonna live in the shittiest place ever.
Another thing that would be kind of fun for a power is, I mean, once again, there's no way scientifically this makes any sense, but being able to grab onto an object or a series of objects
Nope.
and to I mean, you could have a memory bank of 10 objects or something, but you absorb their
So could
That-
you
that-
copy and then paste, 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 paste,
that,
paste,
yes,
paste?
Oh.
yes.
Oh my god, I would have so much money.
You know who could do that? Eat Man.
There we go.
Eat man.
Eat Man.
But
Which is a manga thing where he was kind of like Matter Eater lad, except then he could expel whatever strange thing he had eaten.
okay, but see, I would do that, and I would probably have an insane movie collection. I would if
So
I
you'd be stealing things too, because you'd be
Yes.
like, "I'll go to the store and I'll just grab every block, but every movie I see at
Yeah, but
Blockbuster,
you
I'm
only
just
get
gonna
10
handle it."
things.
10 things
Yeah,
at
but
a
you
time.
keep going there.
Well, and
again
the
and
original
again.
would still be there. I'd just absorb its
But you could only
Cody.
do it 10 times?
10 things at a time.
Well, no, I got that, so it'd start, overriding
Yeah.
what you already had. But, you couldn't walk into a grocery store and be like, I'm gonna make a fucking fancy dinner because there's way more than 10 things that go into a dinner.
Yeah, but you could just come back to it later after you go home and deposit all the stuff.
What you could do is just, get the things you need, walk out to the car, deposit them, come back in the store. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, well,
And just
it's
touch
Yeah,
everything.
exactly.
we could go
Dude,
man, I
what if
could
you
really
tou-
go for some fast food. We order one burger and I'm with 9 friends. I'm and just make a whole shit ton of those.
Dude, I wouldn't want to eat burgers that you produce out of your body. That'd be
Yeah,
gross.
I would.
Dude,
But
they
you'd be
taste the
kind of,
same.
okay.
This tastes
here's-
like Kyle.
Here's where things get a little weird, though. If you touched a woman, could you paste?
I would hope not.
I'm gonna
because-
go with not living things.
Yeah, because
Okay, so a
otherwise
dead
you're
woman,
you're
you
making
paste-
an endless supply of human slaves, and that's just fucking terrible.
Yeah.
No, she's not a slave.
Oh, she is a slave if you've produced her just so you can do things to
She-
her.
Who said I was gonna do things to
Well,
her?
think about this though. She'd have no existence.
I did imply, though. I did imply.
She'd have no existence because she already exists. If she that you can't have multiple of the same person running around.
Yeah, people aren't objects.
It says
so you
multiple
don't-
man.
Okay, I'm different. But yeah, I would totally just the collections of things. We play a game called Skylanders.
Oh
where
my
you collect
God.
the figures. I would go to the store and just absorb or copy all the things, go home and poop them out.
Yeah. Oh my god. Skylanders kicking my ass.
So I guess that was our superpower discussion.
Yes.
Okay.
It kind of went places.
Yeah,
That
Yeah,
was fun.
that was pretty fun.
that was
All
good.
right,
The next one?
to further this, we'll do something kind of in the same style. What is your favorite superhero movie?
Mm.
Okay. So right off the bat for me, maybe not my first favorite singular, but I do love the Avengers movie. I thought they did a fantastic job of balancing all the heroes. Admittedly, I thought Captain America could have used some more screen time. I thought, really kind of shot in the face for that one, but everything else in that movie was so good.
Did we talk about the Avengers in the first episode?
I don't know, did we?
Yeah.
I think we did, but whatever.
No, I'm just saying that was my favorite.
Okay, cool.
And then after that, I'll have to think about it if one of you
guys
have one.
Yeah, I'll, first of all, I'm just gonna say, if it weren't for the fact that one half of this movie was kind of really boring, I would in a second say Thor, because all the things that happened in like Asgard were like fucking crazy awesome, totally rad. Like Asgard looked cool, the Bifrost Bridge looked cool, like all the gods looked rad, the Frost Giants were cool, the fight with the Frost Giants was cool, and then they had to go.
That giant monster that chased them on the ice and stuff, that was really cool.
Yeah,
Especially when it was like running underneath.
Yeah, that dragon monster was cool.
That was fucking awesome.
Like, but then they go Earth, and like the Earth stuff was okay, like it had some pretty fun character moments and all that, but I just at the moment while that was going on, I'm like, where are the gods? What are the gods doing? So that was, if it weren't for, if that stuff wasn't in there, I would totally be down with Thor as like my favorite. But with that taken out of the equation, I'm probably gonna have to go with X-Men 2.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
I really like X-Men 2 because the X-Men are basically like one of my favorite superhero groups, and I like how they implemented all the X-Men. I thought Nightcrawler was cool in that. That really, I thought, I really liked the action stuff in it. I thought that the script was really good, and it did like a really good job of like kind of showing who the X-Men were and kind of what they were up to, and how like, and just how like the part where they had where they went to Iceman's home and they were his parents and brother were talking to him about just how.
And didn't the sister betray him? Or the brother betrayed him.
And they were saying, well, can't you stop being a mutant? And that, that really, like, spoke, that was during the time where they were really playing up mutants as like a stand-in for, like, homosexuals rather than, like.
I was about to say I had a friend.
Rather than racial minorities, which, I mean, there's still definite racial inequalities going on, but now kind of like, the X-Men are much more visibly like a stand-in for, especially since they're like born that way. It's much, in a lot of ways, like it almost works better as like a metaphor for like homosexuals. And I thought that like, that stand was like, I just really like how that discussion went and like the points that they're bringing up. And like I said, like the action stuff was cool, and like the interaction between Magneto's crew and like the X-Men's crew was cool. And
I feel like anybody, like, and this is not I'm not trying to be offensive, anybody who is, like, homosexual listening to this is going to initially hate me, like, beyond belief, but, like you because you're standing up for them, like, constantly. Like, it just feels that way.
Well,
I have nothing against gay people, by the way. I'm just insensitive.
It's true. I mean, he does actually, have quite a number.
Terrible foot and mouth syndrome.
Yeah, he has very
terrible. Looking at you, Val.
Yeah, he has terrible foot and mouth syndrome. I mean, I do know he is actually friends with at least with a.
No, let's stop talking about this. So, any event, like I said,
I don't need defending.
Like the opening scene where it had Nightcrawler in the White House, just like going nuts on those dudes, fucking amazing.
Dude, it was so stupid that they took him out of the third movie. And I can't even remember what the reasoning was.
Well, I'd imagine it's like a combination of him not willing to pay what money he wanted, and was
it Jim Cummings?
It was his last name is Cummings. I forget what his first name is, but I don't know what it was. Maybe he just didn't want to be in it, but whatever it was.
Well, they could have at least,
given a reason.
Yeah.
They did if you played the X-Men 3 video game.
Yeah.
Which bridges the gaps between X-Men 2 and 3.
Yeah.
X-Men 3 was as bad as X-Men 1 was good. X-Men 2 was good, by the way.
X-Men 3 was almost as bad as Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Almost.
In some ways, it's worse.
No.
I'm actually going to
to
probably say it is worse than Spider-Man 3.
I hate Spider-Man 3. Mainly
Just because at least Spider-Man 3 felt like Spider-Man 1 and 2 in like a directorial sense, and they still had like all the major characters in play. Whereas like X-Men 3 like was just like some insane mishmash where like, hey, you know what'd be awesome? Let's kill Cyclops off screen. You know what'd be cool? If everyone kind of takes a back seat and now Storm is like fucking like up front in your business.
Well, that's because she wanted
That was
more
because
money,
Halle
right?
Berry wanted more screen time to be in that movie, which makes sense. But it's like the third movie had so many weird characters in it that like no one got developed, and it just turned into this horrible mess like in the dark fight at the end.
What was X-Men 2's name?
I
Was it
think
Wolverine?
it's just X2.
It's X2.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like basically, and I just thought X2 was just like, oh, and the beginning where it had like the soldiers like breaking into the school.
Oh yeah, it was
Where-
so awesome.
That part was cool. Like you see like all the kids and like a bunch of them are using their powers and like just like in these weird cameos, and Colossus was there and it was awesome. And that's also where you see Wolverine just like go like fucking nuts. Cause like, he did some fighting and stuff in the first movie and it was cool, but like he still seemed to be like under control. And then the second movie, he's just like a fucking madman. Like I just really like the second movie.
Alan Cumming.
Alan
Cumming.
Okay.
I
I know my brother has not Kyle, but one of my other brothers has a perfume from Alan Cumming called Cumming.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sorry.
I guess I'll go on to me. I've been sitting here honestly trying to figure out superhero movies, and I had this whole thing where I've been sitting here also. There's lots of animated movies, and
Oh
I was
yeah, I was
like,
gonna do one of those.
The animated movies.
and like I was like, I'm thinking I can do the live action because both of you guys are.
Yeah, let's do live action.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
I gotta think again.
But I will say I have ones I go back to, like the really terrible, campy 1965 Batman movie.
That's a fun movie.
It's a fun movie because it is so cheesy bad with Adam West
And Burt Ward.
and
but,
Burt
but,
Ward.
But it's because they're consciously making it bad.
Yeah.
Are they really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh no, they totally know that they're making like schlock, and they're totally having fun with it.
Yeah, so I love that movie because of just how cheesy bad it is, but probably just because I'm racking my brain here, I'm really thinking I'm gonna have to say Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2 would have been my other choice, because that's like a super good movie also.
Yeah, the only thing that I was not a fan of really in that was towards the end when Dr. Octopus's like limbs kind of gain self-aware and they don't like what he's doing. They start making dinosaur noises. I could have done without that.
they were making strange noises.
But
That movie also had so many extreme close-ups of women screaming.
yeah,
I had
that's a Sam.
That's a
Raimi
Sam
one.
Raimi thing. I hadn't noticed it till someone brought that up. But
yeah, it's also like if you watch the scene where they're trying to chainsaw off the limbs, it totally does a Sam Raimi camera angle where it's first person, like zooming at somebody.
yeah.
Yeah. It like even if you're not like a big movie buff, I feel like people notice the change specifically during that scene.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, I didn't really know much about movies when I saw that movie, and I was like, this is really different.
Yeah.
He
But
directed the first movie though, Dan.
yeah, he did all three.
Yeah, but that stuff seemed to be really like downplayed in the first movie.
Yeah,
Well, that's
it
what I
was,
was saying.
yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know. I love the fight scene where it's Spider-Man and Dr. Octopus on the side of the building.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
That
And he's throwing the money bags.
yeah, like
I
that.
thought Dr. Octopus was really cool.
They did a really good job.
Yeah,
on
the guy
him.
who played him is actually I like him. He's a pretty good actor.
Yeah, he's
on a show called Monday Mornings now,
Hmm.
and he was in Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Oh, was
he's
it?
in the
Yeah.
movie Identity with John Cusack.
Identity?
Yeah.
Identity theft, you mean, right?
No,
No.
no, that's Jason Bateman.
No, it's just Identity.
Oh.
Yeah, it has like John Cusack and Amanda Peet and a few others.
I have no idea what that movie is.
You've seen
never
it.
heard of it.
I know Mike's seen it, but it's one of those ones I had to actually look up the like. I couldn't remember anyone that was in it except Dr. Octopus. It also has Dr. Cox from Scrubs.
Oh.
But I had to look him up and then go through movies and start looking at plots, and because I could not remember what the name of the movie was. But
weird.
Nonetheless, I think he did a wonderful job as Dr. Octopus, and it I kind of liked the idea that Norman Osborn was kept showing up and talking to his son. No, it was just in his head.
That was cool stuff too.
And the transformation for him going along in the movie, it was kind of this cool back burner thing. It wasn't it was a very important part of the movie, but it was not the main drive, and it didn't get in the way of the movie itself.
It was a good lead in to the third movie.
Yeah, it was a good lead in, and unfortunately it kind of went nowhere.
No, it totally does, because that makes
because he became Goblin Extreme.
I know, he became the extreme sports goblin, but I'm just saying he gets knocked out, and that
Dude, he gets hit. Oh my god, he should have died. He runs into a pole or whatever at 50 miles an hour, and is
yeah,
unscathed.
he gets clotheslined and then falls.
He doesn't take the mist stuff, does he? He doesn't get the...
No.
He just has that suit, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But
I think. I don't remember.
I think you're correct. But, I don't know, Spider-Man 2, it's scene where, so many movies, namely Spider-Man movies, have that scene where the civilians help. It was pretty good in that one, where they all just stand in the way of Spider-Man, who's knocked out in the subway, and Dr. Octopus just slams his, robotic arms down the middle and shoves them all to the wall. It was...
Yeah,
really...
and that part where Spider-Man stops the train, that was that was a cool heroic scene.
Oh yeah, all the people hold him on his back.
Yeah.
Although Tobey Maguire looked like he was having he was trying to take the biggest shit in the world.
It's true.
He was straining so much. It was just and his face all red. It's man, he really. I hope he passes that thing okay.
But you gotta give him props because most of the time actors they always try to look pretty when they're doing things.
Yeah,
which is why a lot of female actors don't look that convincing in action movies, because it's not they're straining and trying to be tough. They're trying to be sexy, like femme fatales.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Scarlett Johansson in Iron Man 2. Kyle hates the fact that when she was fighting in the hallway with all the guards and stuff,
I hate that.
She kept making poses and stuff. I loved it. I was yes, show me more, please.
It's
I love the part in the Avengers where she beats those dudes up in the chair.
There's something about not just because she's a really attractive female, but all the hair going everywhere was really awesome to me. Yeah. I thought it was cool.
Well, you can think that's cool, but it was you're striking really dumb poses in the middle of a fight just for the zoom in of a butt shot, and it's
it's fan service, Kyle.
Oh, okay. Fan service is an attractive girl wearing tight clothing, beating up buff guys. You don't need really awkward poses.
Yeah.
Some of us like awkward poses.
Yeah.
Yeah, in any event, I didn't have a huge issue with that scene, but...
I think it was, for me it was a bit much, but...
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. So if they took out all the parts where she just stops and makes the pose, would it be okay?
Yeah, it would be, and if she did,
Alright, I'm gonna find a copy of that movie, and then I'm gonna edit it with Windows Movie Maker.
Okay.
To have none of those scenes.
Someone called the FBI.
Nope, because I'll get it on digital copy.
Because, her fighting, kicking ass, and, doing the stuff she does, that doesn't... it's a comic book movie. I'm fine with that. I'm just saying, she strike those poses for, 2 or 3 solid seconds, and then it would be back to, super duper fast fighting.
I hate to say it, but he is right. After he said something, I thought about it, and I watched it again, and I noticed that she does, in fact, go... Hua! Pause. Alright, let's go.
Yeah, she can strike her poses, I get it's a comic book movie, but there was too much for like delay for how fast paced that fight was supposed to be.
Should I go for my
Sure,
movie? Okay, this is kind of a cop out but you guys said live action, and I think Mike and Kyle both know I'm not really a DC fan, but I love the second Batman movie.
Oh, that movie, I'm not a huge Batman fan, just in general. I
Same.
think he's kind of like overplayed. But
like Wolverine, kind
of a lot like Wolverine, where the two of them. I'm mainly talking about this from the comic book standpoint. Like the two of them are like in fucking everything. It's like impossible to read like a comic without like Wolverine or like Batman showing up. But the second when you say the second Batman movie, you're talking about like Dark Knight.
Heath Ledger.
Yeah, okay, Dark Knight rather than Batman Returns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that was super good. Like
That's one of those. The reason I say it's a cop out is because, of course, a lot of people are like, "Yeah, you just like it because Heath Ledger, and you copy everyone else." No, I legitimately think Heath Ledger did fucking phenomenal.
Heath Ledger did a fantastic.
I
job.
would I didn't see them, or I didn't know that he died until the movie had already come out, and I saw it. Yeah, wow. I was one of those people, and also, I don't think I really knew who Heath Ledger was because
I didn't really know who Heath Ledger was.
I knew that
I've never seen A Knight's Tale.
Well,
which is the movie that people always mention.
That and
Brokeback Mountain.
Oh, I've never seen Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, he's in Brokeback Mountain.
I was gonna say
he was in Brothers Grimm also.
He's in Brothers Grimm,
but he was one of those actors I didn't really know anything about, and then
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yeah, serious, he was in that.
No, that's
Or 10 Things I Hate About You.
10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah, that's what it was.
How to Lose a Guy
in 10 Days is another romantic comedy.
Yeah.
That one has the Human Torch in it, doesn't it?
No, here, look it up. Anyway, so I just, he was so good, and I was so upset about that whole ordeal. I don't know.
I don't know. To me, that was the best one out of those 3 Christopher Nolan Batman movies.
Yeah, well, I like the third one a lot.
The third one was okay. And the first one was pretty good, too.
See, I don't like the first one. I think it's so boring.
It kind of is, but it's kind of boring just because everyone knows the fucking story. But, I think that they told the Batman, origin story in a really good way.
Yeah.
It's just boring because, you're so familiar with the fucking story.
Yeah. I mean, I like the third one, though, mainly because Tom Hardy. I love Tom Hardy. He's just a really good actor, in my opinion, so.
He's kind of really strange as Bane.
Really,
really, really strange.
I think it works, though. I know a lot of, not everybody likes it, but I think it's, oddly, because there's something about his voice that is odd and kind of quirky, and those kind of things make me want to hear it more, because it's so strange, and that's why I think it works.
Okay. Yeah, the second movie, though, the one thing I will say about is that it almost should have been 2 movies, because, the Two-Face stuff in there really feels like an afterthought.
Yeah, I honestly didn't think he'd be dead at the... I thought it was they were just gonna play it.
Yeah, it seemed like a real waste of that character.
Who was it that plays him? I know it's the same guy who's in, Thank You for Smoking, but I can never remember his name.
Yeah, I don't care.
He's also really...
He's a good actor, but,
You know what that movie did have that not many movies do get to have?
What?
Eric Roberts.
Who's Eric Roberts?
Eric Roberts is Julia Roberts' brother. He was in Sharktopus.
He's...
Is he the dude they ate in South Park?
Yes.
Yeah. But he was the guy... He was, Falcone.
Oh, okay.
And Batman dropped him from the ledge and broke his legs, or whatever.
Oh.
By the way, in How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, it's Matthew McConaughey.
That's who it is, yes.
Right.
Thank you.
Alright.
I don't like Matthew McConaughey. I think he's kind of...
Wasn't he in Rain of Fire?
He is. He's the guy
that's the only one.
He's the barbarian.
He's
in Rain
the
of Fire.
barbarian.
That's the only time he's
which is interesting because he's also in there with Christian Bale, who's Batman.
I know.
Yeah.
It's also funny because he always plays pretty boys, and in Rain of Fire, that's the first time he designed that character. That's how he wants to act, and that's what he wants to,
is absolutely insane.
He wants to be a big, buff, bald, scary guy. He hates being a pretty boy.
Wow.
Oh, and then, Batman 3 also had, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who I also really like. I've liked him ever since, Third Rock from the Sun,
Yeah.
who was also in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knew? Yeah, the second Batman movie's really good.
Yeah, so that's my opinion.
Okay.
Or my probably favorite comic book movie.
Okay.
Like I said, a cop-out, but
Yeah.
otherwise I was going to say Superman versus Shazam.
Oh, the
man.
I love
animated
that
one.
animated movie.
Yeah.
That's fun to watch.
Oh, you know what I was saying while we were talking about this superhero movie that I always forget about because I don't think of it as being a superhero movie, but it's based on a comic book, is Blade.
Oh, right.
The first Blade movie, I actually really like that.
I don't know, this, yeah.
I really like...
I still like Spider-Man, X-Men 2 better, but Blade's a pretty good movie.
Another one I actually like, although I know there's predecessors.
Oh, Hellblade's really good too.
Hellboy is really good.
Is one of the Punisher movies. It's the one with the Russian.
Oh man, yeah, the third Punisher movie, the one that was just called Punisher.
Yeah, I
where
like,
Thomas Jane played the Punisher.
Yeah,
and John Travolta was the bad guy.
Yeah. I really actually like that movie.
That is a good movie. Because the Punisher's a weird character because really all the Punisher is he's just taking like the Dirty Harry style like vigilante, which is like a pretty common, type of movie character, and putting him into a comic book. So it's almost like pointless to have like a comic book about, it's almost pointless to have a movie about the Punisher. It's like, oh, so you're just making like a regular action movie. But that movie was good.
Yeah, so, we posed some questions, we talked some different discussions. I think we did a pretty well-rounded thing here. We're starting to get into the swing of things.
I think posing the questions is a lot more fun than choosing discussion topics, I guess.
I like having some discussion topics also.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you're right though. Like having questions probably does make for a bit more entertaining.
What we could do would be half and half.
Yeah.
I know we could probably talk about this after, but it's kind of fun to include other people.
Yeah.
Let them know what we're going to do.
Yeah, totally.
So I think a half and half kind of situation would be great.
Well, we'll try to get in some structured things that we already plan on. We'll try to break that up with like more question-based things. Keep it interesting and fresh. Keep it fun.
Keep it swick.
Anyways, hope you enjoyed everything, and
yeah, we'll catch you later.
Cream cheese.